Okay, guys, now we are coming to the chapter 3, that is role of pivot points and CPR in day trading. Here we are going to discuss pivot points and CPR in day trading. Maybe this chapter will be repetition for few of the people who attended my previous webinar because most of the things are similar. In my last webinar, I discussed in more detail about this chapter because many people were new to pivot points and CPR during that time. Nowadays, CPR and pivot points has become very famous. Many people are aware about pivot points and CPR. So I don't have to go so deep into it like last time. But still, few people may be very new to pivot points and CPR, right? For such people, I'm going to discuss briefly about role of pivot points and CPR in day. Pivot points are extremely powerful price-based support and resistance level that are calculated using prior periods high, low, and close. If you are using daily pivot, then what is the prior period? Previous day. If you are using weekly pivot, then it is previous week. If you are using monthly pivot, then it is previous month. So that all are calculated using previous periods high, low, and close. Since we are using daily pivots in this image, so we are going to discuss about the previous day. Since daily pivot is the one which I am going to use most frequently in my trading, so assume that it is previous day's high, low, and close. Okay. So pivots marks boundaries on your chart where price likely to have support and resistance, which offers you framework to trade on. So for example, this is the central pivot, R1 pivot, R2 pivot, R3 pivot, S1 pivot, S2 pivot, S3 pivot. So it is giving you framework to trade on. So you know that where is your support and resistance. What is R stands for? R stands for resistance. What is S stands for? S stands for support. What is PP? PP stands for pivot points, right? So part of what makes pivot so exceptional is that fact they are purely based on price. It is not like your other lagging indicator. This is purely based on price. It is the fact that gives pivot traders a huge advantage over the other types of indicator based traders because this support and resistance what you see purely based on price action. Also pivots plotted on chart even before market opens. So you know where is your support and resistance on your chart. So if you are using pivot points on your chart before market opens at 9:15, you can see this on your chart. Where is the R1? Where is R2? Where is R3? Where is S1, S2, S3? Right? So that becomes your life easier, right? Because you know that where is your resistance, you know that where is your support even before market opens. So that is one of the advantage of pivot points. So pivot points are nothing but pure support and resistance on your chart. Pivots are mainly many types like traditional pivots, Fibonacci pivots, Woody's pivots, Camarilla pivots. Traditional pivots are also called as standard pivots. Though there are 4 types of pivots, but I use only standard, which is commonly used worldwide. So if you ask me, most commonly used pivot is standard traditional pivots. So that's why. So here also you will see me using standard pivots. So the pivots what you are going to see in this entire webinar is standard pivots. I don't use Fibonacci pivots. I don't use Woody's or I don't use Camarilla pivots. I use standard pivots. Daily pivots are more powerful than weekly or monthly pivots. As I said earlier, just like daily pivots, there are weekly and monthly pivots also, but daily pivots are most powerful. That is what I've seen with my back testing. So I give importance to daily pivots and very rarely I use weekly pivots or monthly. So you will see me most of the time using daily pivots, very rarely weekly pivots. So that is how I give more importance to daily pivots. Pivots are stagnant on chart. It is same for 5 minutes, 50 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour time frame. That is one more advantage of using pivot points. For example, the pivot points what you are seeing here, R1, R2, R3, whether it's 1 minute, whether it's 5 minutes, whether it's 15 minutes or 1 hour, it is same. Okay, it will be same at this level. It will not change. Unlike your indicators, if you see the indicators, when you change the time frame, indicator also changes its position, right? Most of the indicator changes its position when you change the time frame. But pivot points are not like that. It is stagnant on the chart. So that's why pivots are same for 5 minutes, 50 minutes, 30 minutes, even 1 hour time frame. Market generally trades between S2 and R2 pivots. Very rarely go beyond R3, R4, S3, S. Most of the time, not always. Okay, nothing you take from this webinar as 100%. Nothing you should take from this webinar as a writing on the wall. Nothing is writing on the wall. Nothing is 100%. All are probability. All are most of the time, not always. Okay. So you will see that most of the time, market trading between S2 and R2, very rarely above R3, S3, R4, S4. Most of the time, market trades between this range. Central pivot are most respected and powerful among all the pivots. What is central pivot? Central pivot is this PP. Okay. That is called central pivot, which is the most important among all the pivots. This all pivots only. R1, R2, R3, S1, S2, S3. All are pivots only. But the most important is this, the central. Now we are coming to the central pivot range or CPR. CPR is the most powerful part of pivot points. So what is the CPR actually? in earlier image you have seen, right? Just remember, these are the pivot point, right? R3, R2, R1, central pivot, S1, S2, S3. That's it. But what is CPR? CPR is nothing but that central pivot what you have seen, it will have one line above it and one line below. So that is what the CPR. This entire range is called CPR. This entire range is called CPR in trade. And the line above the central pivot is called TCPR. That is nothing but top central pivot range. And the bottom one is called BCPR. That means bottom CPR. So what is the difference between CPR and the regular pivot points? The only thing is that CPR is this entire range. Earlier image you have seen only pivot points. Here you are seeing this entire range. Other things are same. S1, S2, S3, R1, R2, R3 are same. Here you have seen only central pivot point, right? So CPR is one line above the central pivot, that is called top CPR. One line below the central pivot, which is called bottom CPR. So this entire range is called CPR. Some call CPR range as the meat of the market, while others refer to the central pivot range as the heartbeat of the market. So that is what many people say, that it is like a meat of the market, very important level on your chart. And this is like a heartbeat. Why heartbeat? Because you know that for a human being, for a person, heartbeat is most important in the human body, right? As long as your heart is beating, you are alive. So heartbeat is very important. Same way in trading on your chart, central pivot is the most important. And this entire range is like a meat of the market. So if you ask me, out of my more than 18 years of experience, what I've seen the most powerful on your chart is the CPR. Just like pivot, this also nothing but a support and resistance on the chart, but it can be also called as value area. So I was discussing about the value area earlier, right? And many people may be still wondering, what is the value area? How to know the value area, right? One of the area which I call value area is CPR. That means most of the time, if price opens here, then it tries to go towards the value area, or price opens lower, it tries to go towards the value. CPR can also forecast trending or sideways market, can also dictate the day's direction. So that we are going to discuss in the next chapter, but also it can forecast trending or sideways market so that you have an edge, right? Before market opens, if you know that whether you are going to have a trending or sideways days, CPR many times can tell you that. CPR is like a magnet on the chart where price get attracted towards it. CPR is like a magnet where price get attracted towards it. What happens with the magnet? It gets attracted, right? So that's what if price is trading here, most of the time it gets attracted towards the CPR. If price is trading here, most of the time it gets attracted towards the CPR. So that is what the CPR is. Before becoming a full-time trader, I was working in Dubai and I've done backtesting on many things. Whatever I seen, whatever I read, I used to do backtesting, but I never got the confidence until one day I came to know about CPR. Then I started plotting CPR on my chart and that's it. And that really gave me that confidence. And I realized that I have got an edge now in trading. Because when I done backtesting, I was really amazed by how well it works on the chart. Though it doesn't work every time, sometimes it also fails, but still you should look for something which works most of the time. And that is what I've seen. CPR works most of the time on your chart. Okay. So that is why my advice is, you may be using so many strategies, you may be using so many methods in trading, start using CPR on your chart and hopefully you can see the difference, because CPR can give edge in trading. But before using it, do some backtesting and get some confidence. Then only you will feel confident to trade using the CPR in the market. But my more than 18 years of experience says that I have not seen anything in trading working so beautifully like CPR. Okay. So with that, we are done with this chapter and now we are moving to the next chapter. Okay, guys, now we are coming to the chapter 4, that is how to analyze market with CPR in day trading. How you can analyze the market movement with CPR in day trading. So that we'll discuss in this chapter. So you should know that there are different types of the CPR. One of the CPR is called wide CPR, wide central pivot range. Wide CPR range means it is most likely sideways. So what is a wide? Wide means all these three lines, 1, 2, 3, the central pivot, top CPR and bottom CPR away from each other. When it is away from each other, that means it is wide CPR. More wider the CPR, virgin CPR. Here also you can see that there is a big move in the market. It can be upside or it can be downside. Whenever there is a big move in the market, so more wider the CPR. So sometimes this CPR can be much wider than that. Sometimes it can be lower than that. So wider CPR means previous day market had made a very big move. So when you see this kind of wide CPR, most of the time when there is a big move in the market, it can be upside or it can be downside. Whenever there is a big move in the market, most of the time you'll see this kind of wide CPR. So what is the one thing you'll come to know when there is a wide CPR? Most likely sideways. So that means you should be ready with your strategies for sideways. Though I not marked here, but it can be reversal day also sometimes. Okay. So not every time sideways, it can be reversal day. Trending days, less, I can say very less, but it's not that never happens, less. And what is the wide CPR says? That means previous day had made a very big move. Okay. If previous day made a very big move, that means you may see a wide CPR. Most of the breakouts are false breakout on the wide CPR. If you see a breakout, most of the time it leads to false breakout. That means most of the time it's a false breakout or a fake breakout. So on the wide CPR day, look for sideways day or reversal day. So that means I said before market opens, by looking at the CPR, you will get some hint how market is likely to behave. One thing, whenever there is a wide CPR, one thing you will know that wide CPR means today we are likely to have a sideways days. That means neither upside or downside. It is moving sideways. Or it can be reversal day. Reversal day means it can looks like a breakout and then it can reverse. So that also can. But remember, any methodology in trading is a probability and not certainty. So don't think whatever I said is about the sideways days on the wide CPR is a probability. Probability means high chances of happening, but not certainty. What is certainty? Certainty means something 100% will happen. If somebody says 100% is going to happen, then it is known as certainty. When somebody says high chances of happening, that means it's a probability. So this method also not always true. Therefore, use it as a guideline. So that is why in trading, have a stop loss in every trade you take. Because if you are wrong, then there should be exit plan for it, right? So that is what wide CPR, most of the time sideways or reversal day, but not always. Okay, next one we are going to see about the narrow CPR. A tight, narrow central pivot range can be dynamite sometimes. What I mean by dynamite, that means sometimes you can see a huge move like this on this kind of very narrow CPR. Sometimes, not always. Okay. Look at this CPR. Such a narrow CPR. You can see that all three lines are at the same level. Tops CPR, bottom CPR, central pivot, all at the same level. That's why you just see a single line, right? But not necessarily every time. All these three lines has to be so close like this. Sometimes it can be little bit away from each other. A little bit away like this. This is also your narrow CPR. Okay. So narrow CPR doesn't mean that it has to be so close. It can be little bit away from each other like this. This is also narrow CPR. This is too narrow CPR. You can say that. Okay. A tight pivot range telling you that previous day was a consolidating or sideways day, which usually leads to big day on current day. So if narrow CPR, that means previous day was a sideways day. So sideways days leads to narrow CPR, right? So that is what you should know, that whenever there is a narrow CPR, that means without even looking at the previous day chart, you can assume that previous day was a sideways day. And what about the trending day? Trending day leads to wide CPR. You don't have to wait for next day CPR. Next day, even before market opens, you already know that next day you are going to have a wide CPR. So these are some of the advantage of understanding the CPR. Before market opening only, you know that tomorrow going to be sideways days. If CPR is too narrow, it is easy for price to penetrate. And narrow CPR has high rate of trending days. And narrow CPR has high rate of trending days. What I mean by easy to penetrate, that means if suppose instead of this bearish candle, if there was a bullish candle like this, when it comes near the CPR, I said it's a strong resistance or support, but it can be easily broken. Whenever it is very narrow, it can be easily broken. Okay. So it's not a strong support or resistance. Narrow CPR is not strong support or resistance. If it's a bearish candle, it can easily break. If it's a bullish candle, it can easily break this CPR. Narrow CPR most of the time leads to trending day, but if it's a narrow CPR day, market stays sideways, the next day most of the time are trending. So what I mean by that, that means sometimes it happens that narrow CPR and that day market is staying sideways. Even narrow CPR day, market is staying sideways. What I've seen most of the time, next day, once it breaks the low of the previous day, then trend can start, or breaks high of the day, high of the previous day, trend can start. So that's what I see most of the time. If despite being narrow CPR, market stays sideways, next day could be trending day. Any methodology in trading is probability, not certainty. So this method is not always true. Therefore, use it as a guideline. So as I said earlier, don't think that, oh, narrow CPR today going to be trending day. It's not 100%. And third type of the CPR, which I have not mentioned here, is called average CPR. What is average CPR? Average CPR falls between narrow CPR and wide CPR. That means if not too much narrow, but average size. So that means such CPR are average CPR. It will be bigger than narrow, lesser than wider CPR. So that is average CPR. That also you see many times in the market. But average CPR difficult to say trending or sideways. But narrow CPR most of the time trending, wide CPR most of the time sideways or reversal days. I was saying that more wider the CPR, more difficult for price to penetrate. So wider CPR, more powerful support and resistance. For example, look at this. Look at this chart. Market is falling, and it came to the CPR and made a big bounce. So if you don't know CPR, what you think that, oh, market is falling, right? It's nicely falling. Look at the bearish candle. You will go short and immediately market reverses, stop loss hits, right? Immediately market reverses. But if you knew about the CPR, then you would not be taking short position here because there is a CPR support and the CPR is wide CPR. So more likely to act as support. So instead of going short, going long would be best option, right? Because it is taking support near the wide CPR. Here also it started with a bullish trend and suddenly it reversed after touching the CPR, right? If you don't know about the CPR, you must be thinking that, oh, I'll go long here because market is looking bullish and your stop loss hits, right? So that is why having a CPR can give you edge. You will not be taking a long position here because you know that it is having the CPR resistance. You will not taking a short position here because it is having a CPR support. And another reason is wide CPR means sideways days. So you would not expect market to go like this in a trending mode. We expect market to stay sideways, right? So that is what few of the advantage of having a CPR on your chart. With experience, it will be easier for most of the time to take the trade. And many people even ask me, how much point is the wide CPR? How much point is the narrow CPR? Okay, let me tell you guys, there is nothing like how much point is wide, how much point is narrow, and all this. That all comes with practice and experience. So that call you have to take. There's no hard and fast rule. Oh, this many points in Nifty mean wide CPR. This many points in Bank Nifty mean narrow CPR. There's nothing like that. For that, you have to have that kind of analytical skills so that you can identify narrow CPR or wide CPR. So I was telling you that narrow CPR mean not necessarily every time it has to be single line, right? Look at this. This is also narrow CPR. 3 lines are there, but it is little bit away from each other. Here also it is little bit away from each other, right? That is also your narrow CPR. So narrow CPR is most easy for price to penetrate. Narrow CPR can be weak support and resistance. Look at this, right? Narrow CPR price has easily penetrated, right? Easily it broken and started going. Here also you can see that it came near the CPR. Easily it broken and started going. But in the earlier chart, what you have seen? Earlier chart you have seen that when it came to the CPR, it reversed its position. It reversed its position because it was wide. But here it was narrow, so it easily broken the CPR. Here made a bullish. There was a virgin CPR here, day 1, day 2, and wide CPR can help you in identifying market direction, identifying which kind of the day likely to be, whether it will be sideways days, trending days, or reversal days. Okay. Now there is something called virgin CPR. What is virgin CPR? Virgin CPR means on any given day, if candlesticks are not inside the CPR, such days are called virgin CPR. Look at this chart. Look at this chart. Are there any candlestick inside? There is not a single candlestick inside. So then we can call it as a virgin CPR. You can see that here candles are inside the CPR. So this is not a virgin CPR. Here also you can see that there are candlestick inside. So this is not a virgin CPR. The days whenever you see that there is no candlestick inside, most of the time it is called a virgin CPR. A CPR level that was never touched during its session of origin is called a virgin CPR. This level have importance because market will typically see this level as a unfilled gap that must be filled at a later point of the time. So most of the time you see that market coming back to that virgin CPR, not on the same day, but in coming days, coming to that level and taking support. This level also becomes important support resistance when they happen within a trend. As a pullback to virgin CPR usually offer a solid entry back in the direction of trend. For example, some stock is in the strong uptrend, okay? Strong uptrend. And you'll see that here candles touch, here candle did not touch on this, right? Here candle did not touch on this. So here candle did not touch the day. Then what you should do? Then you should extend that virgin CPR to the next day. Extend that, drag it with your mouse and mark that level because it is likely to act as a strong support because trend is upside, right? If it makes a retracement, then it is likely to act as a strong support. That's what I said. When it happens within a trend, as a pullback to virgin CPR usually offer a solid entry in the direction of trend. What is the direction of trend? Upside, right? So that is what virgin CPR can be strong support and strong resistance. Wide virgin CPR is more powerful than a narrow virgin CPR. But virgin CPR is stronger when it is very new. That means 5-6 days. What I mean by that? For example, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7, day 8. Okay. So if there was a virgin CPR here, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, important. If market is trading here and then there's a virgin CPR, you don't have to track this level till here because it is unlikely to act as a strong support. Okay. But next 4-5 days, then you should track this level because it can act as a strong support. So that is what virgin CPR can be one of the strong support on your chart. Wide virgin CPR more powerful than a narrow virgin CPR. This is, I can say, average size, but whenever it is very wide, then it is very powerful. Average also powerful, narrow is less powerful. Okay. So virgin CPR is very powerful when it is wide on your chart. And that is what I said. It is very important for first 5-6 days after that virgin CPR, and it becomes weaker and weaker as it becomes older and older. And this is the formula for pivot points and CPR. Anyway, this is nowadays many platform you'll get the pivot points. So you don't have to worry about this formula, just for your understanding. What is formula for pivot points? If you want to do manually calculate, this is the formula for calculating R1, R2, S1, S2, R3, S3. But most of the platform provides you pivot points. But remember, CPR is not available in all the platform. Only few platform offers CPR in that indicator. If you don't have CPR in your chart, then this is the formula. Pivot is high plus low plus close divided by 3. What is high, low, close? Of previous day, right? Because we are using daily CPR here. Bottom CPR, previous day high plus previous low divided by 2. And top CPR, pivot minus bottom CPR plus pivot, right? So that is what the formula for central pivot. Sometimes bottom CPR can be above top CPR and vice versa. So that is something you should know. Bottom CPR can be above the central pivot and top CPR can be below the central pivot. Okay. It is based on previous day market, previous day price action. So don't get confused why top CPR is coming down, bottom CPR coming up. So this is the formula for CPR for people who don't have CPR on their chart. Currently, I'm using TradingView charting platform and that offers me CPR. If you are using TradingView chart, then you don't have to worry about the CPR. It is there already in that platform, TradingView platform. If you still don't know how to plot the CPR, then send me a message on WhatsApp after this webinar and ask me to send a CPR video. I have a small video on how to plot CPR on your chart, because many new traders may be finding difficult to plot the CPR on their chart because you have to do some settings and all this, right? So if you don't know how to plot CPR, send me a WhatsApp message and I can share the video on WhatsApp and you can follow that video and you can plot the CPR. Okay, guys, that's it about this chapter. Now we are going to the next chapter.